Well, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that enacting the wild horse bill would cost $200 million over the next 5 years. And that's an expense my next guest could lessen with private funds. Madeleine Pickens is the wife of billionaire and OSU benefactor T. Boone Pickens. A longtime horse breeder herself, Madeleine is a philanthropist all in her own right. Now, during Hurricane Katrina, Mrs. Pickens chartered a cargo liner to rescue 800 pets abandoned in the flood waters. And to date, her efforts are even grander. Pickens hopes to buy about 1 million acres for a wild Mustang sanctuary, a landmass that's slightly larger than Rhode Island, to be the permanent home for these horses and a tourist attraction. Equine industry has been quite good to you.
It has, and you know, I've been very fortunate in my prior life. You know, my husband passed away in 2000, and I married Boone in 2005. But prior to marrying Boone, I had a life with horses. We had bred Cigar, which was probably one of the most famous horses that most people would know about. And at one point, we had up to 800 horses. That would be brood mares and weanlings, yearlings, race horses, and I had an incredible life with them. You know, we won many, many Breeders' Cups, many championships, but at no point did I understand that there was horse slaughter. So it never occurred to me that after my horses' racing careers were over, that they would go to slaughter. And when I found out about that, I was devastated. I was also ashamed that I'd been in an industry where I was producing and breeding horses with no exit strategy. So that's when I decided I've got to do something about this. And when Boone heard about it, he said, I'm with you. He realized this is not an option for America, and it's not what we do. We don't eat horses in America.
Mm-hmm. So what is the exit strategy now?
Several years ago, back in the 1970s, they started taking horses off the range, the wild Mustang, and the majority would go to slaughter. And now they've got up to 33,000 in holding facilities in the United States, and there's about 8,000 or 9,000 in short-term holding, and the cost has become overbearing for the Bureau of Land Management. So I said, I tell you what, if I find a ranch and I can have BLM land attached to it, maybe 1 million acres, maybe a little bit more, but this will enable me to take the Mustangs from the short-term holding and put them back on the range where they'll live how they're supposed to live in the wild, and then gradually bring in maybe another 10,000 the next year and see how the land takes us. So I thought, you know, so many people go to the rainforest to see the land. Do you have any idea how many millions of Americans would love to bring their families and come to an eco-sanctuary and visit the wild Mustang? And at night we would have campfires, we would have educators that could teach people about our heritage, our wild Mustang, about our land. If you talk to most foreigners and they come to America, they all go to Disneyland, which is fabulous. I love Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, the whole thing is fabulous. But there's another place that they'll be able to visit, and that would be the wild Mustang, and really see how this all happened and learn about it. In doing that, I believe I can also probably take on some of the other horses that would go to slaughter, which would be thoroughbreds and quarter horses. Once we get it going, we'll be able to create paddocks, maybe of 1,000 acres, so you could bring them into and get together with these associations and ask them to help with the endowment fund. And then we can start to take care of their problem too. So hopefully we would be able to never say no to any animal. So
you could, in this place, in addition to the wild horses, you could see Arabians, you could see quarter horses.
I do. But it's going to take involvement from them too. They need to be a part of this. And I think that the people would like to be a part of it. So it'll be a wonderful eco resort, but sanctuary for these horses.
For someone that sees this, how can someone get involved?
I have a website, and it's madeleinepickens.com, and I'll start putting information out. You know, we've had so many emails and inquiries about it, and as I progress, I'll put out a notice that will start to say, you know, and again, you can never go wrong if you call your congressman or your senator or call the Bureau of Land Management in Washington and just tell them that you're on board with the plan. I mean, there'll be all kinds of different things that you can get involved with once we're set and in place. But right now, I would suggest that you just go to the website and go viral. Just keep talking about it. We all need to take responsibility. I got an email once from a cowboy when I was dealing with the slaughter, and he was angry, and he said, you know, I'm old and I'm crippled, and I can barely afford to feed myself. How do you expect me to take care of my old crippled horse? So I sent him back an email, and I said, it's a very sad email. I said, but apparently you spent a wonderful life on the back of your horse. He gave you a great life. At some point, you should have considered putting some money away for his retirement so that you could enjoy him for the rest of his life. And my message is to people, if you're going to be involved in horses, whether it's your child riding, whether you're barrel racing, whether you're show jumping, whatever you're doing with a horse, take responsibility, not for the moment that you ride it, but for afterwards. Let's try to set up foundations that will put money aside so there is a sanctuary for them to go to.
Now, despite their own personal fortune, Mrs. Pickens' dreams are even bigger than her pocketbook. With her website, MadeleinePickens.com, she hopes to raise both funds and support.